and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tammy, would you do a roll call?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we start the recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Byler,
Here.
trustee Christensen, trustee Irwin, trustee Hill,
Present.
trustee Manning, vice chair Miskowitz,
Here.
trustee Oldenburg,
Here.
board chair Potts.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is public comment. We have a very full room tonight. Anyone have public comment they'd like to share?
Sure, I'll start.
Would you mind,
Yeah, I'll come out.
okay,
That way I'll have to talk back if you get that.
thank you.
I'm a slow reader. Can I have 2 extra minutes? Is that okay?
Sure.
Thank you very
As
much.
long as it doesn't go too long.
It won't go that long. Taxes have gone up,
Could
school
you
levies.
start by sharing your name, please?
My name's David Smith. I'm with property, so. All right. Good to see you again, too. Taxes have gone up with school levies because the school levies have gone up for the last 3 or 4 years. Non-voting levy 4 years ago was on a special board meeting instead of a regular board meeting. I'd like to know if we can get a board meeting set with stuff like that, so the voters have an opportunity to be involved with that. And I'll just continue. And you had a voted levies, the elementary passed, the high school failed. Now you're talking about another $100,000 for a non-voted levy increase. My taxes have gone up from 49% to 53% in the last 4 years. And I just want to make you guys aware of it. And the way you would do that is as far as when you guys come up to talk about the non-voted levy increase, table it, or even better yet, let the voters decide to do that instead of just making a non-voted levy. And if you can't get it on the ballot, the other thing would just come out with a new budget that has cost cutting in it, and then and you knew the COVID money was going to end. So why weren't adjustments made to that? And I know that Thompson Falls puts out their school budget in the newspaper, and I don't know if we do that or not. So just a question. I was looking at the things on how we match up compared to other schools as far as in the state. Elementary is the top 10%. They run about 11 to 19% of math scores. State average is at 35%. The reading scores are 29, and the state average is 64%. Your student ratio is 6 to 1, and the state average is 13 to 1. Your junior high math scores are 20%, and the state average is 46. Reading is 20%. The state average is 64. Your junior high is 5 to 1 as far as student to teacher ratio, and the state average is 12 to 1. The high school is the top 30%. That's a good thing. And what happened between junior high to high school? It's a question you guys need to ask. So if we're in the bottom half and all of a sudden they get into high school and they're in the top 30%, something's going on there. Just a question. Your budget's over $1 million, I'm assuming. What does that break down to? 140 students. What's the cost at 140 students per student? Right now you're running about, I don't know what you're running, but the average as far as for school, for budgets, as far as with salaries, runs about 75 to 80%. You guys need to look at what your budget is, including stipends. So you're spending quite a bit of money, I'm assuming, towards your salaries. Double up on classes, just a recommendation. Number of students has dropped from 168, I think it was, until, I think you're at 140 now. So, what's the other thing? Have any of you guys been to the School Board Association training? If you haven't, why not?
So we don't answer questions or.
I know that. I know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
questions that make sense.
I
I get
will,
it.
I will say though that, every year when we seat our new board,
Right.
we do have our attorney come in for the whole board training.
Yep. And that's another question I have is why aren't we using Montana School Board Association as an attorney? As a school board chair, you can go to them and ask questions and it's gonna be between you and them. And I'm assuming you recognize that. That's very important because there's questions you're gonna have, just legality type stuff. And if you haven't been, why not? This is gonna go quick, I'm almost done. We did a cost saving, lighting project in the gym. It cost $4,000 to do, but the cost savings was right around $39,000 to $4,000 a year. And my question is there been any other lighting, updates to save money? Another cost cutting that you can do if it hasn't been done. And it costs money up front, but it saves it in the long run. If it hasn't been done for the last 4 years, why hasn't it been done? I know you're asking for money for the parking lot. I can't say anything about that because it's on the agenda, but it hasn't been done for the last 4 years. And that's preventive maintenance stuff that you do, and it should be done about every 3. And what it does is it seals the parking lot so water doesn't get up underneath and start pushing stuff up. Just question stuff, guys. Ask questions. And if you don't know, do your research. Because if I pull up that kind of information that quick, that's not good. Stop with special board meetings, as many as you have. If it's something that's particular, in other words, I think the last one you had a special board meeting and it was talking about negotiations with the superintendent for a 2-year contract. And my question to you is, why would you do a 2-year contract? What's the benefit? There's no benefit. So if he goes whatever, we're gonna end up having to pay him out for the second year, do a year at a time. And with stats like that, I don't know if that's the way you wanna go. You know, the same thing with anything dealing with like special board meetings. To me, if it's something that the public should be involved with, especially with something like that, or anything that deals with money, especially because I think you were trying to do that on the last one. Last time I was here, last time I was here, there was nothing on the school minutes about anything that was said. There's one school board member that reached out to me after I got through speaking. There's 33 items that were brought up, and they're not on the minutes from the last board meeting at all. So, just a question. And I'd like to thank you for your time, and I know it's been right at 4 minutes. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, I'm in the phone book.
Do you have any other public comment this evening? Okay, we'll keep on moving through the agenda. Item 3 is the consent agenda. 3A is approval of minutes from the regular board meeting on March 10th. We have a motion to consider that for approval.
I make a motion to approve the item 3A, minutes from the regular school board meeting, March the 10th, 2025.
All right, has everyone had a chance to take a look at those? Any questions on anything? All right, can we do a show of hands? All in favor? Raise your hand. Item 3B is approval of minutes from the special board meeting on March 24th. Motion for that.
I make a motion to approve item 3B, approval of minutes of the special board meeting, March 24th, 2025.
Same deal. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all in favor, show of hands. Item 3D is approval of student activity reports. Motion for that.
I make a motion to approve item 3C, approval of the student activity reports.
I second it.
Any questions or comments on that one? You ready to vote? I just wanna, it's noticeable referee balance showing negative 6,800. It's a big number. And we didn't even have one show up for a baseball game, is that right? Was there a game that got canceled because we couldn't get referees?
I think that was,
But that's on somebody else's end.
That was okay.
That was in
Before-
Flames.
Okay.
That was on somebody else's.
so that amount is only for basketball.
Okay.
And, if there's enough money in general funds towards the end of the year, then general funds will cover those referee expenses. If not, then it will come out of gate, so money will be transferred from gate to the ref account.
Okay.
But we keep the ref account separate, so we can track, this is how much has gone out for referees.
And that's that 10,500, what's in the gate account?
Yes,
And that is, that is the rightful place to pay it from, is that correct?
that is correct.
Yeah.
Right, and we still have all of baseball season
Right.
too.
And that'll be
Cover.
about another $4,000.
Right.
Something to keep in mind when we discuss.
And we try to leave a
tickets.
little bit in gate to start the next year. Because football, volleyball refs are right off the bat and, yes.
Remind me, did we decide to charge at baseball this year?
Yes.
That's good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, show of hands. Right, item 3D is approval of high school claims and payroll warrants. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve our elementary claims and payroll warrants. Or wait, high school claims and payroll warrants. Sorry.
Second.
Right. Anyone have anything they?
I do. I have a couple. So I don't remember the name of this, but mine is all blocky. It's on our first page. Let's see, here's the better.
App to G Inc.
Is that
website
just our
subscription.
website and our app that we do every year? Okay. And then the game one, what is Fund 215?
Fund 215 is the fund where donated monies go in.
Okay.
And so that was donated monies for baseball equipment.
And then, I see that we also did the K9 thing. Are we gonna bring that back for prom as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Montana school equipment, it says baseball safety straps.
Basketball.
Oh, I guess it
Failure
does
on
say,
one of our
okay.
baskets, the safety support that attached to it is defunct.
Okay.
It's actually, when Dave Dave Smith was here, that basket went out on the south end and now it's the north end, so it's just wear and tear. on it.
No, that is great, cause that answers my question, cause I was wondering why elementary was paying also for it. So basketball makes sense. I think that was everything that I had.
Anyone else? Alright, show of hands, all in favor?
That was next one.
Item 3E is the approval of elementary claims and payroll warrants. A motion for that one.
I make a motion to approve item 3E, elementary payroll and claims.
Second.
All in favor? Creek abstain. Okay, old business, item 4 is, approval of safe return to schools and continuity of services plan. Do we have nothing there?
Okay.
When can you remove that?
Good question, I haven't gotten your green light from OPI yet.
Okay. Good deal. Section 5, new business, these are our action items. First one is 5A, consider approval of memorandum of agreement with the Knoxon Education Association STARS Act.
And we're going to not do that yet? He's not here.
If he's not here, okay. Okay, so this is the STARS Act, and that's something that we're supposed to have.
Are we,
Are we gonna discuss that this time, or are we gonna?
I think so,
Okay.
I think so, I'd have the motion.
Here.
so if somebody wants to make a motion on that.
I make a motion to approve item 5A, consider the MOU of the STARS Act.
Okay. Now, Mr. Weiss.
Okay, so this is a really fluid, bill that's going on right now, it's in the Senate on the floor. It hasn't gotten onto the floor yet. This is the $55 million that Gianforte has earmarked for teacher recruitment and retainment. It does require for us to be able to receive the money to do it, and our estimation is $80,000 in advance of what we have. If we get our lowest paid employee, the lowest salary we have, up to, it would be 11 times the professional educators stipend, basically, or payment, which is $3,673, so we've got to get it up to 11. We have to raise it to $41,485, something to that effect, so that we could get to the $80,000. There's been a lot of confusion. There's been discussions between Montana School Boards Association and the State Teachers Union. The memorandum of agreement that you have before you is something that came from Kelva Law. I talked to the union president, and they were basically under the advice not to sign anything. And then we had something come in from the Montana SAM, which is the School Administrators of Montana, and that's Rob Watson. He's an executive director. He works also with MTSBA. And this is the email that I got at 3:45 today. Just as soon as we got off the call, there was one more option presented by MFPE, that's the Montana Federation of Public Employees, the teachers union, statewide, and accepted by legislature for compliance. It's not a big change, but it may help some of you who are struggling with your union to meet the May 15th deadline. That's the piece that everybody's concerned about. This legislation currently says that we have to have some kind of an agreement or a memorandum of agreement between the district and the union to be able to receive that money by May 15th. If the governor doesn't sign it till May 20th, we would have to have that agreement in place by May 20th. That's the way we read it. That's the way we're being told by Montana School Boards Association and Kelva Law. Talking with Bart today, that's not the read that they have. And so there are a lot of different opinions about legislation that hasn't even been passed yet. But the latest is this, basically a prerequisite form that states that, and this came from school administrators of Montana, that he says the legislature has approved with Montana Federation of Public Employees, that we, which would be NEA, which is the Noxon Education Association, are committed to working with the superintendent and the board of trustees of Noxon to achieve the legislative goal for teacher-based pay set forth in House Bill 252, which is the STARS Act, for the school fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, through the bargaining process outlined in Title 39 of Montana Code of Ethics. And so, what you have before you, I would like to pull off. I would like to say, no, I don't think we need it. I think you don't need to do any action at this point. And I would think that we go with option one, coming from what we're being told, the legislature and the Montana Federation of Public Employees, through school administrators of Montana, to come and do that union full science certifications.
Okay, so at this point, the recommendation is that we do not vote to approve the MOA that's in the agenda, and we'll work through that in the negotiations.
And that doesn't require a full board at this point. We're just looking at, again, like I said, the board chair, the superintendent, and the union president, which is Mr.
Okay. And our next negotiations meeting is this Wednesday. Anything else?
That's it on that.
Okay. So we'll take no action on that. Tabling it for now. Maybe put it back on the agenda next meeting if we need to get any agreements on it.
There's a lot of work to be done, and I think it does belong in negotiations. As I said earlier, we're projecting somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000. And my recommendation would be that that goes into the salary matrix, because that's the gist of this bill. It's the gist of the governor's earmarked budget for this cause. And I think it's fantastic opportunity for us to get our baseline.
Everyone comfortable moving on? Or do you have any questions on it?
Sounds good.
Not voting on something for legislation that has not passed yet.
All right, item 5B, consider approval of the Harmony contract for school year 2025-2026. We have a motion to consider that for approval.
I make a motion to approve item 5B, the contract for 25-26. But I don't like that it says 25-26, because if you read the contract, it's for 30 years.
Second.
All right. Can we have one of our administration give us a
Yeah.
synopsis of this?
So Harmony Educational Services is a company that started, I believe, in 2012. It caters to homeschool populations, providing curriculum and resources for families to get curriculum and other materials for education of their kids. Now with, since COVID, enrollment is down everywhere, not just here in Montana, but throughout the country, enrollment's down. And so what Harmony has started to do is partner with local school districts to help those homeschooling families get those materials, get those curriculum materials, and provide them with not just online education, but also hands-on education, workbooks, textbooks, those kinds of things. So Harmony has a 3-tier sort of program with them. So their first tier or first path is an all online option, right? So the students are completely online. It's a completely digital curriculum, and they go through with it, and they, whether it be Edmentum or Ingenuity or any other with the list of curricula that Harmony provided for us. Families pick that curriculum, and then Harmony reports attendance and grades to the school, right? By partnering with the school districts, what they're able to do then is the families enroll students into public school. The A and B money gets paid. We pay Harmony a portion of that A and B money. So for elementary students, I believe it's $2,800 a year. High school students, $2,900 a year.
That's what we would pay to Harmony.
That's what we would pay to Harmony, and then the school district gets to keep the remainder of that A and B money. Harmony also will provide funding to families to get curriculum materials that they might need or might want. So there's mutual benefit to both the school district and the families. And one of the reasons I'm looking at this and would like to go this direction is I want to be able to do more than what we just do in-house. I think public education is changing, and I think that we need to begin to diversify and expand our offerings to the community and the families that live in our community. There's also a tier, a pathway through Harmony that they call Harmony Flex, which is a little bit more parent involvement with the families, but it's the same sort of deal where families can get money through Harmony. And then there's what's called Harmony Portfolio, where the students can choose to be part-time in the school. They can come here and they can still take their music classes, they can still take the art classes here, and then do the remainder online or with whatever curriculum material they have. So there's a few different schools in Montana that have already started this. It began in Corvallis. The superintendent's name there was Pete Joseph. He was the first to bring it in. So it's also in Stevensville, it's in Darby, it's in Florence, and St. Ignatius. And I've talked to the superintendents from each of those districts, and just kind of what their experience has been so far with the program. And they like it. They like what Harmony offers for them, offers for their families. Each of them, they have different levels. They have different levels of involvement, but they all pretty much have 10 or more. In Corvallis, he's got 200 kids signed up for it already, and I think they've been doing it for a couple of years. Talked to Dave Tennis in Stevensville. He's got about 50 enrolled. In Darby, he's got about 10 Harmony students. And some of the concerns that might come up with it is, okay, are we going to lose kids from our building and they're just going to disappear off and go off into homeschool? And each of the districts that I talked to, they said that there was a minimal about that. I think in in Florence, Todd Fisk talked about they have about 13 students in Harmony. 2 of those 13 were previously in-house students that went to Harmony. Everything else is from families that are already homeschooling in their district. I first heard about this from John Martin, our previous superintendent, who called and was talking to Tammy, I believe, and was kind of recommended this, so I started looking into it. I met with the Harmony representative last Monday, and it's been on the phone, calling, I spoke with the representative last Monday, been on the phone talking to different superintendents throughout for the rest of the week. Do you have questions
I have a lot.
about it?
One, I'm not understanding is, you said that the parents get to choose the plan,
No, through
the
yes,
curriculum?
they do, from the list that Harmony has, but I've also in talking with, Brett, the Harmony representative, I asked him specifically, well, what if there's a family who would like to be part of this, but they do a religious program with their kids, and he says, that we're pretty flexible. If the school's okay with it, if the family's okay with it, Harmony can be okay with it. I've already talked to one mom who homeschools their kids, and she's like, this sounds kinda cool, it would, be nice, but we wanna be able to keep that, religious curriculum that we
Mhm.
use. So, there is a pathway for
So do
families to be able to do that.
do we get to see the curriculum before the parents get to pick the tier that they're in?
So, we as,
Yeah,
as a school,
if the
Let
school,
me-
the parents,
Let me ask a quick question, I think will clarify. The school picks which tier from Harmony we.
no, the family
The
students.
family does.
The
Okay.
family chooses which tier they are, the school
Okay.
isn't involved with that.
Okay, thank you.
so do the families get to pick the curriculum?
Yes,
Okay, cause in the information it just says Harmony, so I was kinda confused.
so are you looking at
Yeah,
the table where it's
yeah,
the
where it
checkbox?
says us or them, like Harmony or Noxon, it says, the, curriculum is picked by Harmony. So I didn't know
So
if
that list, it's probably that list of curricula, that, curriculum, provide core and elective curricula for independent learning students, including, independent, so that's just providing the curriculum.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering
Right.
if they have like different curriculums that the
Yeah.
families get to choose.
Did
because
you
it
guys
would
get
be-
the list, this list? This is all the different curricula that Harmony offers.
No, I did not.
So there's, math curricula, Alex, Bright Thinker, which is, multidisciplinary, Dreambox, MobiMax, Imagine Learning, Edmentum, K-12, E-Dynamic Learning, Rosetta Stone. So students, high school students have opportunities to get AP classes through that and everything. Another thing, I specifically asked Brett, the Harmony representative, we already have MTDA. I explained to him what MTDA is. And he said, you can absolutely still use MTDA. We currently have we have 4 students taking about 7 different MTDA classes right now. So they'd totally be able to do that.
Can you briefly explain the role of MTDA and the difference between that
So
and what
because
Harmony offers?
MTDA, Montana Digital Academy, students need to be physically enrolled in the building to take, to use MTDA. So that's still another option that we can offer, right? So kind of, the way I'm thinking about things is we need to begin to do something a little bit, expand what we're offering, right? There's the traditional in-house education that families can use. There's the MTDA where they're in here, online courses, it's where they can get a lot of foreign language, they can get a lot of AP classes, IB classes, I think that's IB. Those kinds of classes there that we're not able to offer here, we don't have people to teach them. And then this is just another option so that we can help out the families in our community.
I think something to, excuse me for a second, the brunt of their business model isn't even high school. The majority of their enrollment is K-8. I think we have a huge market out there. The kids that do not come here for whatever reason, religious, non-government, whatever. That's something that there was still required, they have to be in our school district, we can't go mooching off of, other districts. They have to be in our district. And, they still have to do state testing. But we've got some folks that don't want their kids in public education settings at all. And for $50,
$50.
they proctor those state tests. And also remind you that our board policy 24, 30. I found that when I was talking. 2410 talks about personalizing education. You know, you guys all know that part, but we've done that with some kids that have come through here and petitioned because they've had disruptions in their education. I think we need to cast the net. We need to cast a wider net for kids that do not find a traditional setting to their specific needs. We are losing kids to homeschool. The legislature has allowed, benefits to not have to come to school. Used to be the hook was extracurricular activities. You don't have to be enrolled in a school anymore, not even part-time, to be able to enjoy going out for sports at the school. So what I'm saying is the numbers are pretty apparent. And I know there's folks that have looked at those numbers and come up with some different theories of why. When we're looking at the elementary, K-8, in 2019, 2020, this is from JIMS. This is the state's data warehouse from OPI. 2019, 2020, we had 137 kids in the elementary. The very next year, because of COVID, we went from 137 to 105, and we've been kind of up and down ever since. 21, 22, my first year here, we're at 107. 22, 23, 103. 23, 24, 98. 24, 25, 90. That's the elementary. And what we're seeing in the high school, again, these are OPI numbers. What we're seeing in the high school, 2019, 2020, we had 67. We lost 12 kids with COVID from 2020 to 2021. And we've been dropping 21, 22, my first year, we came back up to 68, 22, 23, 67. Last year we're at 69. This year, our fall count was 56. And we lost 10 kids from COVID. So, we need to think about how do we make Knoxon Public Schools more accessible for more of our kids. And they are our responsibility. The best example of that is when we have a kid that's in our district that's between the age of 5 and 19, who for whatever reason gets put in detention, juvenile detention. You know who pays that bill for their daily stay?
We do.
The district does, even though they never went to our school, but they're in our district. That's a fact. And I think that fact merely portrays the importance that we have in discovering ways that we can, again, market what we provide to our constituents, to our community members, to our stakeholders.
Two more things on as far as extracurricular go. Homeschooling students come here and they can still do sports whether they're enrolled here or not. But through Harmony, because the students would be enrolled here, it expands the opportunities for extracurriculars that they have to Science Olympiad, BPA, art club, those other extracurriculars that we we offer, because they're then enrolled here, they can do those things. And second, on the financial part of it, if we get 0 kids enrolled in Harmony, we pay Harmony $0, right?
Well, no, cause that's another question I have.
Okay, what's,
Because the contract here states, for the service provided, Knoxville Public Schools shall pay Harmony at the rate and time set forth hereby, each student in the program based on the quarterly basis. And it says the rate per student is $2,800 for K through 8 and $1,900 through 9 through 12. So how many quarters do we have?
so we pay Harmony twice a year.
Okay.
We pay Harmony in October and in January, right? And if there's 0 kids enrolled in the Harmony program, we pay them $0.
But what we get for a high school kid, which is, and our junior high gets the same rate, and there's legislation that would bump that down to 6th grade that hasn't been passed yet. We get just a little over $8,000. So yeah, we're not getting the full A and B, but we weren't getting the kid to begin with. And so Harmony walks off with high school 19, 2,900, $3,000. We're bringing in $5,000.
So earlier this year, I had a mom come to me, and she didn't want her daughter to come here physically. She wanted to stay at home. She wanted to be remote, and we had nothing to offer. I said, there's nothing I can. It's not that I don't want to help you. It's just I don't have anything. And so she ended up enrolling in a program that they have in Thompson. If we had Harmony, I said, here's the Harmony. We can go ahead and sign you up for that. You're enrolled here at Knoxon, and we get to retain some of that funding here. And then the families get money from Harmony to go get the curriculum that they want to use.
So to what extent will this affect the workloads of existing staff? Will it detract from in-person instruction here?
No, I don't think it would detract from in-person instruction. What we would do, there can be one point person here that could be teacher of record. If it expands and we need more people, I'd ask for volunteers. It's like, who would like to help out and be a teacher of record for that? So a lot of the other school districts that I talk to, they have 1 or 2 people that are involved with the Harmony students.
So we have some oversight to be sure that the kids that are enrolled are taking classes and completing the work.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, we did. So with Harmony, that's, if they go with Harmony's tier 1, what the students are doing are still reported by Harmony to us through Infinity.
One thing that is not really clear to me how they handle this, under item 6B on licensure and other state requirements, it says that Harmony is responsible for having a registered education professional in whichever state the school is in. How do they accomplish that?
Say that again.
So I just wanna know, because they're obviously an online company, do they have staff in Montana that are accredited here? Or how do they accomplish having that accredited person on
Yeah,
staff?
I think they do have staff here. The other superintendents I've talked to have mentioned their names, as people from Harmony that they've worked with. We've even had Harmony come in and give presentations to families about the program.
That was gonna be my next question, is on the recruitment, how do we get people aware of
Right. Harmony handles the recruitment. I mean, they'll partner with us, you know, if we have people that we know and have a relationship with, can call, we call them. But Harmony also has a network of people that they use and to help with recruitment. So it's not incumbent just upon us. to-
Well, I would hope not, because they don't stand to gain any money if they don't
Right,
bring kids.
right.
They've been able to have access to, for instance, Corvallis and Pinedale, a pretty large alternative Mormon community. And they've been able to get into there with, that would be where Corvallis probably is pulling most of those numbers from. They've also been successful, accessing Mennonite populations. We've got a huge Mennonite population in our district, and that would obviously be something that we would be helpful for.
Do we know, are there any other competitor companies that offer these kinds of services?
I've not found a competitor company that offers it.
Ponderay went to they dropped these and went to somebody else, cause I emailed and talked to a couple of them today.
Pottery, Idaho. Interesting. to know about
They
that.
actually had them and then dropped them and went with somebody else, but I emailed the superintendent to find out who they had now.
Okay.
And it has to be a 3-year contract? Well, it says we sign one and then it's a 1.5 increase for the next 2 years, so it's a 3-year contract that we'd be signing.
What section?
That's
Four.
four.
Okay, so terms and renewals,
Section
page
4,
316, option 4.
Yeah, it says it's a continue for a term of 3 years and shall be automatically renewed for an additional term 1 year.
Yep, and then if you flip over the page on the very first part is it says Harmony will increase the fees by 1.5 over the rates in effective immediately preceding the year. The rate for test administration services is $50 per student.
Yeah, that's what it says in the contract.
And they wouldn't do a 1-year contract?
I
Do
can
you
ask
like
them.
it?
I can ask them.
So just for context, the 1.5% increase is $42 per student.
It's an increase, is
It
an
is,
increase.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I think like you said, there's not really a financial risk. The risk is that we would have a 3-year contract and would not be able to pursue a separate contract if we decided that was what we should be doing. But I
They
agree.
do have termination clauses
Oh,
in there.
everybody's got.
For failure to approve a budget.
Budget is one of,
So if we do not approve the budget for the next year, we can terminate. Cause it says Harmony or Knoxville Public Schools may terminate this agreement effectively or effective immediately upon written notice in the event that the Knoxville Public Schools Board of Education, you guys, does not approve a budget or modifications to a budget that includes payments to Harmony for any given academic year. And I have forwarded this on to, legal.
That's what I was gonna say, is I would not suggest we make any decision until we hear back from legal on this.
Oh, no, we discussed that, we're definitely seeding this, getting this in front of you. This is something that, neither one of us were expecting to have a vote on tonight, but it was something that needs to be, put on the table.
Do we have any public comment on this?
Yeah, is it the only list from Harmony? Do they have a list of approved programs?
You mean the curricula?
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the only thing that's allowed on there?
No, actually, I asked Brett about that, And if there's a curriculum out there that a family wants to use,
Okay, so you can use any program.
if a family wants
As
to
long as
use
they
it and the
approve.
school is okay with it, if
So
the
it-
school board approves of
Okay.
that,
It's
Okay.
gotta
curriculum,
have,
then,
it's gotta have approval of Harmony and Knoxville.
yes,
But also, I would guess, the public as well.
Right,
yeah,
It's gotta meet state standards.
sure.
right.
And then the second part of my comment was it's not the district's responsibility for educating the kids, it's the parents. And we, the taxpayer, pay the bill for the stuff that goes to the juvenile detention.
Thank you. Yes.
Excuse my voice, so what was the thing about the religious material and how is that okay through the partnership with Harmony?
So that would be the same kind of thing as any curriculum that a family might want to use. If,
Sorry, real quick,
sure,
Carly, would you mind coming up to the front?
Up.
Just because we're recording, I wanna be sure that the audio is picking everything up.
Okay, well, my voice, so, you were saying about the religious?
right, so in my conversation with the Harmony representative, I asked specifically about if a family wants to use a religious curriculum. If the school board is okay with it, it meets the state standards, and the family's okay with it, and Harmony can approve that as well.
So my only thought on that is, I think Whitesell mentioned like trying to reach the Mennonite community through this religious curriculum, but the Knoxon school doesn't even allow religious flyers in the bulletin anymore, and we've done that for like 20 years. So I'm not really sure how you think Knoxon school is going to be okay with religious material if we can't even have advertisement for religious things. So I'm just curious.
I was just
How that's
kind
gonna
of
work.
gonna lay that out there as an example. If a family, I'm saying that there is a pathway for a family to use that curriculum through Harmony, if it's approved through the school and through Harmony, and the family's okay with it. I'm just saying that the families that want to use a religious curriculum are not locked out of Harmony.
Okay.
That's all.
It's not
So it's somewhat, it's parent led, but then also overseen by Harmony and Knoxon Public School? Like as far as the curriculum choices?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the question would be, as far as with the school board, if I wanted to use Bob Jones University as, I don't know where you're recording from, so.
Right there in that corner,
Oh.
Mr. Smith.
In other words, if I wanted to use Bob Jones University as a curriculum, I'd have to have it approved by the school and Harmony, right?
That's.
And the
my
question would be
understanding.
is, would they allow a religious thing from the school side?
As long as it meets the minimum qualifications and standards of OPI, and the board agrees to it,
Right.
then that's my understanding.
So
Yeah.
it's a case-by-case basis then?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
But there's also a pretty substantial list of existing curriculum that are already approved by Harmony.
I just know homeschooling works simply for the fact both my kids were homeschooled. One's teaching as a professor at a college right now, another one does really well in the real estate market. And they were homeschooled all the way through, so that's a good option for the community to have.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity.
Exactly.
I agree with you. I think it is a good option for the community to have, and this is a way for, what we have going here,
Right,
to assist those families,
right.
right? In
And then
in the choices that
The
they want.
regulatory side of it is, because it is a private school, and then the public partnership, that's the side you're gonna have to keep an eye on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions and a couple comments.
Hold on.
You have
Gotta
to
get in front
come
of
all
the
the way
camera.
to the.
Everyone else.
Stand in front of that.
So I had a couple questions. What program is Thompson Falls using? Does anybody know?
They have Edmentum.
So what do we have here?
We use Edgenuity, as part of our credit retrieval program.
Are they a Montana-based company?
Edgenuity,
And Edmonton and?
Edmentum, I don't believe
No.
no, I've also been talking with Edmentum folks too.
I was just wondering if we could possibly stick with Montana, if there is a program. I like the idea. I did look into, this when I saw the agenda, and if you look into the schools in Idaho, they kinda got put under fire and under investigation for the treatment of disabled children, and we don't want that coming back on us, having an audit for disabled children and then.
We wouldn't provide it for special ed, it says that.
Yeah, in the contract.
Okay. So, then,
That's what we have Ingenuity for.
so you guys all seen the emails I sent with the news articles, and you guys can look into it too if you put in the Harmony and Idaho School District, there is quite a few. Someone was saying it's a low performing online school, so we would just stick within Sanders County, like right here in our school district, or would we be pulling kids from like all over the state?
We cannot pull from outside of the district.
Okay, well, that's where in the contract I was confused because on the first recruitment, independent learning students who
Can you
live in
say
the state.
which,
Page one.
Page one, a
So that's
description
where I was
program.
curious.
2A. And I think what they're talking about for recruitment is, like who's in our district, like if we wanted to do like a,
Provide information.
yeah, provide information is what Miss Hanley said, we would do it through, like, here.
Well,
Thank you.
I think to, this is John's point, is that Oneida, Idaho, I think they had like, I can't remember the numbers, but it was something like 5-1 of Harmony kids versus Inver, like they have 1,000 enrollment, but they have 5,000. I can't remember, it's tremendous numbers, but they must be structured differently because they're pulling kids from all across the state through that district. And there's some, I think there's been a lot of challenges with that, but some of these schools are apparently very aggressive with the model. But we would be limited to in-district kids.
That started back in 2005, when Montana Digital Academy came from Michigan, basically, was the model that we used. And that was what the legislature was concerned about, because there were states like Alaska, who, there were these huge super districts that were drawing kids from all across the state. And the legislature was adamant that that would not be something that we would have in Montana, and that's the way this is currently.
I know the numbers exist, I'm not expecting you to be able to give them offhand, but I would like to see how much money is out there, like kids that are in district but not enrolled here, so that we have an idea of the ceiling of the amount of money we could be bringing in with this.
We do pull, quarterly, we pull, kids that are registered with the county superintendent. But as you know, there are a lot of kids that don't do that. We have a lot of kids in this county and in this state that do not, their parents do not, register with the county superintendent, so.
Well, it's very lax here in Montana if they do that.
I mean, that could be extrapolated out of census data as well.
I mean, I think this is something that we need to do moving forward. I think there's a lot of positive. I think my only devil's in the details with the contract and things like that. That's all stuff that can be looked at. But I think one of the big things is Harmony the only partner or the right partner would be my one outstanding question. And maybe they are. There's certainly a little online with mishaps and audits and things like that. It's hard to put that into perspective. Was that I know that some schools have abandoned them, some schools love them. So how does it fit for us? I don't know, but clearly you've done a lot of homework, and it sure seems like a good opportunity.
The Montana schools that I talked to really like the program and highly recommend it.
As far as you mentioned census, I've been looking at census numbers. It's kind of confusing for 2023. Oh, we're going back to 2016 is what I've been looking at. For the elementary, Knoxon Elementary District, we have 115 kids according to the census in 23. Now, that is elementary district. That is just up to the Trout Creek line. But the high school district has 191, which is confusing because that's also 5 through 17-year-old kids. And so you got some overlap, there's some double counting there, but I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 kids is what we had according to the census in 2000.
And that's the total number of kids in the district,
On the census.
including kids that are already enrolled.
That's the census, that's the number of kids that have been identified through the census.
Okay.
You said that was 2,000?
200.
No, what year is that census done?
Wow. I'm sorry, 2023.
23.
And then I also got general population, our county, or our school district has 4,448 people, according to 23. And our county's growing, our school district's growing. In 2016, we had 4,000. But the numbers that I have show that more and more people moving in are retirees, don't have children, or keep their kids at home. And it also shows that what we're seeing in the high school is basically what was writing on the wall. Elementary numbers are dropping, and as they go through, they're starting to show up.
But if this is a retirement community, which it is, you don't have 50-year-old people having kids bringing elementary in here, and it's been like that since I was here in the 70s. And I don't think, if we're down to 100 or whatever, 106 or something, then there's not 50 kids out there floating around in our area still. I think they're moving. It's not the school. It's the area.
I think you would be surprised at how many kids are actually around here.
I've heard stories of lots of kids down in Heron. But the declining enrollment is not just us. Troy, Troy is down 24% since 2019. Hot Springs, 23-24, they were down 18%. Plains, 14.35%. Libby, from 1,205 in 1920 to 1,097, basically just under 10%. Statewide, we're looking at 4%. Statewide. These are all okay numbers.
I'll take Mr. Smith's comment, not question, comment if you have a comment, but I wanna table this so that we can move through. We still have a lot of agenda left.
Well, that's my point at the beginning of when I brought up all those things. We're dropping. It needs to be addressed as far as with the budget and where we can reduce along that way. And if you're talking for $100,000, can you find $100,000 out of $1 million budget?
Okay, thank you.
One
And
thought.
thank you, by the way.
If we're going to table this, I think it's worth a quick discussion on what additional information,
Yeah.
what due diligence we're hoping for moving forward so that we can come to a decision on this.
I would say we will keep it on the agenda moving forward, but I wouldn't want us to make any, as I said, I wouldn't want this to go to any board vote until we at least have the contract
Vetted by
vetted
legal.
by our legal. And what unanswered questions do we have from the board right now?
I think that's huge. Legal vetting of the contract, I think we should ask a question about term, just to know. And then, sounds like there's some emails out, I would be curious to learn a little bit more if anyone hears on
Another option.
people offering similar services, and just if Farmer really is the best fit, fantastic, but we should do a little bit of due diligence towards that, I think.
know, in the schools that do have it, how long have they had it? And if they're happy, if they've had it for 3 years, why are they happy with it for 3 years? Not somebody that just got it. And other places like Idaho that had it, they feel calm.
No, you've pretty much covered it.
Administration, are you guys okay with providing some updated information for us next week?
What are the schools in Idaho that have?
Oneida is.
Right, here's a couple of them.
I know Clarkport has it and loves it.
Can you speak up, I'm sorry?
I know
Here's all the
Clarkport has
info.
it and loves it.
Okay,
I've talked to someone over there and
Did you hear her, Mr. Ramsey?
Yes, I did, Clarkport.
I've contacted them.
then you said Ponderay was another.
No, Lake Ponderay School District,
There's
there's
3, Clarkport. There's 3 out of San,
okay.
3 out of San Point. And there's the numbers.
All right, we are going to table that. We'll pick the discussion back up at our May board meeting.
You think we'll have all the answers by now?
No, but we'll leave it on the agenda. Item 5C is, consider approval of certified staff, tenured only.
I make a motion to approve our certified staff tenured only.
A second.
I am going to suggest that we break this up into either high school and elementary, and probably do elementary individually because of Mr. Oldenburg. There's-
Yes, I can abstain,
Well, we can do all but Miss Laura. That way if you can.
so I can abstain, or we can do it independently, and I could simply abstain from.
I'd be
one.
wary of pulling her instead of everybody else, okay? Especially if there was a no vote, even though she is tenured.
Correct.
And as I explained, as far as our nepotism policy, there is no nepotism here. I understand the optics that Mr. Oldenburg is conscientious of, and, you know, I respect that. But the fact of the matter is, she was working here before he became a board member. That's really important to keep in mind. But again, I understand your optics and doing it this way, absolutely respect it.
Yeah, my preference would be just to abstain for, so. I can simply abstain, I don't, if that's simplest for everybody.
If we do it individually, it's fine. If we, if he's the same, it's fine. The whole list that it's only 2 of you guys voting. He's Trail Creek doesn't get to vote.
Right.
So let's do it individually so you guys can vote.
Yeah.
There's two of us gonna do two.
Yeah.
So,
And like Tammy said, it's still gonna be 2, so we can.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We can do it
It's
all
still
as one.
majority.
Yeah, why not?
we'll break it between elementary and high school.
Correct.
We have to anyway.
So can, do I need to make a motion for the elementary district?
Um,
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Cass return.
I retract my last motion.
And I make a motion to approve the elementary district 10-year certified teachers 25-26.
We have a second.
Oh, yes, I saw you, sorry.
All right. Any questions or comments from the board on this? Okay. Tandy, can we do a voice vote?
Public comment?
Do we have any public comment regarding senior teachers?
I have a question. I have a
Comments?
question. Okay.
What?
Voice vote, please.
Okay, and this is for the elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Hill,
Aye.
trustee Oldenburg,
Abstain.
and board chair Potts.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. And Trail Creek will be abstaining.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do I have a motion to consider the high school tenured staff for
I make a motion to approve the high school district tenure certified teachers for 25-26.
I second.
Alright, any questions or comments on this from the board? Any public comment?
I got one. Have they signed their teacher?
Sorry.
You guys just wanna make a
Stay
little-
up there, Dave.
Have they signed the teachers' contracts for this year?
Haven't given them to them yet because. they
Not
haven't offered.
question and answer.
We have first we have to offer them to
Comment,
sign.
not question.
Okay, so the comment is, you're voting on something that you don't know.
No, we're voting on to.
Tenured teachers to sign them up for another year. Right?
we're- Correct me, Mr. Whitesell. Okay,
The motion that you guys have approved is to offer contracts to the tenured teachers. That is the motion.
thank you.
You pass it, then we offer contracts to the teachers. That's the process, and they have 20 days to sign it into.
Thank you.
Alright,
20-4-205, 20-4-206, want that to that table?
okay, thank you. Can we do a voice vote on this thing?
Trustee Byler, trustee Hill,
Aye.
trustee Miskowitz,
Aye.
trustee Oldenburg,
Aye.
board chair Potts.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.
Right, item 5B, consider approval of the parking lot asphalt project. We have a motion to consider that.
Are we making a motion to approve them, or are we making a motion to accept the bid?
We are making a motion to consider it for approval. Correct. But we are,
I just wanna
we
get,
would be approving one of them if you choose to go. We can't open discussion. so-
Correct. I just wanted to get the right motion for you. I make a motion to consider approval of the parking lot asphalt project.
For the second.
Second.
Could someone from administration give us a little bit of background info on this?
You have two bids before you. One is from Thompson Ruddy, Railroad at $21,200. And the other one is from Professional Asphalt Pros for $17,384.61. Administration's recommendation is to accept the bid from Asphalt Pros USA for $17,384.61.
Could you give us some information on why that's the recommendation?
Sure, safety, you know, as we start breaking up out there, and we have begun that process, in some areas. We're concerned about trips and falls, from uneven walking. If it gets to the point we're looking at wheelchair and mobility device hazards, becoming, impaired. We're always worried about drainage and standing water that can occur, which becomes slippery when frozen, and that's another issue that lends itself towards legal exposure. And we do have premise liability that we have to maintain. We have a legal duty to maintain safe premises. Failing to repair hazardous parking lot constitutes negligence under many legal standards. Notice problems. Once you know failure to address it significantly increases liability exposure. You know, if somebody was to get hurt, they could go back and see that there was a recommendation last year that was voted down. If this year's voted down, we're starting to begin that case against us.
Yeah.
Regulatory, American Disabilities Act to stay in compliance. And increase long-term costs. Once you start damaging the base layer underneath that asphalt, it begins to shift, you start getting water underneath it. And instead of resurfacing, we're looking at reconstruction, which is vastly different. And I think you saw Bill or a quote from, Thompson Ready Mix was 94,000, that ship and seal, that's what that is. And so, operational, we're looking at, snow removal. Start getting potholes out there, you digress back to the way it was, before asphalt, because it's a lot messier. And what we're talking about is deferred maintenance, guys. It's a responsibility of the district. We have an investment into that asphalt, into that parking lot that has been maintained for years. Don't neglect it. Don't walk away from that.
Do we have an account that we put money into that's like already allotted to it that has more
Go
than?
ahead, Jerry.
Yes, that is your building reserve maintenance funds, and that is what that money is for the maintenance of the building.
It's not coming out of
And the
general
ground.
fund.
It is not part of general funds. It is, so it doesn't take away from the paper or pencils or anything. It is to maintain the building.
What, do you have the balance of that account right now? Rough estimate.
Elementary, high school combined is right around 100,000.
Okay. I just wanna recall the reason we decided last year not to approve this was because of the pothole situation out there that we felt was definitely needed to be fixed. And then it was mentioned that we had some roof issues that needed to be addressed, and that was the priority was placed on the roof over the asphalt.
Which still hasn't been looked at.
We worked on the roof this summer. I talked to Dan this morning and I asked, do we have any major leaks? And he said, no. He said, we do have 4 minor leaks, 2 in here and 2 in the elementary. We have talked to, Jim Huntsman. He gave us a bid for about $105,000 for the elementary. I don't think we're in the position, to jump at that or any of those other things yet. We have been doing some engineering. We have been doing some engineering. We've had, Huntsman came in and did infrared, as we had somebody else come in and look at it. We are in a co-op, with Montana Schools, or MREA, Montana Rural Educated Association. It's a co-op that we are a part of, and that's, where we can get, broken in if we need it. We have a lot of patches up there. Dan thinks he's probably gonna have to do about 50 more this year. A lot of it has to do with, those mills coming back up. Yeah, it's an issue. It is an issue, and it is something that this board's gonna have to address. But in the meantime, we've got other issues, and one of the bigger ones is, right out there in the parking lot.
That is plywood and the membrane is deteriorating. I've been in construction 90% of my life. A small leak on wood, I would put my paycheck on it. You pull up some of that membrane, it's rotted. And just about every nail up there you can count. You can't tell me it's not rotted. That is more important than that parking lot.
I can tell you, we've had 2 vendors up there, and they would disagree.
Have you been up there?
Yeah, I've shoveled snow up there.
Yeah. You don't shovel much snow at that end because your shovel will hit every one of them freaking nails.
We still blowing on the guy on the edge.
Go look. Nope, we were supposed to go up there 3 years ago, and nobody's done it yet. That
You
end
want
is
to put a
horrible.
ladder up there, we can do it next month.
That end is horrible. The membrane, you can see the
Send me
strings in it,
pictures,
the
'cause I'm not
nails, the
going up
screws.
Can,
Uh,
The
can I-
roof is your main.
But anyway, the motion is, the parking lot.
I have,
Go ahead.
I have a question on the bids. The only thing I found, other than the price being different, is the footage for the sill coat. The square footage is off.
And that's something that they go out and they measure themselves.
Okay.
What,
I was gonna ask Dan, but I didn't get back to him, Libby.
what are you saying?
Well, right here, if you say it's 65 and this one says 66 for me. It's not off by
Okay.
much, but there is a discrepancy in footage, so I was just wondering,
Sure.
maybe somebody mathematically did it wrong, I don't know.
Do we know the last time it had seal coat?
Yep.
Mr. Blutz, sorry, Mr. Smith,
I
would you mind?
I concur with Mr. Weisel as far as what he said at the parking lot. You have to maintain that thing probably every 3 years. You have to go through and put the stuff on it, reline it, clean it up. If not, you're gonna have, instead of having 17,000 or 20,000, you're gonna have $300,000 parking lot if you don't take care of it. With the roof thing, when I was here, basically what ended up happening is every year I had somebody come in and inspect the roof and the patches you was talking about, Jim. That's where all the things are coming from, because we're running the snow blower
No,
up there.
I'm just talking about all the screws.
Yeah, you're talking on
You can
the elementary
count
side,
every
it's,
screw,
you're
yeah.
gonna have to refasten that sometime. It's time for that one. The rest of it's been done.
Do you recall the last time the seal coat was done?
Out here in the parking lot,
Yeah,
the year that I left, the guy had a heart attack and lost his leg and all kinds of stuff, so I know it wasn't done that year.
it would've been
So now we're working
21, 22.
on 4 years.
Okay.
Or
We did it
5.
We did it the next year.
You did it the next year?
Yeah.
Okay, so every 3 years, that's gonna be a regular maintenance thing you're gonna have to do. It's the same thing with
It's
the roof. Yeah, it's due. If not, it's gonna cost you it's gonna cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not me that much, but everybody. Does that help? But I
Yes.
concur as far as that, the
Thank you.
parking lot needs to be done, and the roof does too, but when?
So I wanted us to go ahead and vote on this, but, Tammy, can you make note before next board meeting? I would like to set aside some time for staff or board members to be able to go up on the roof.
Any of you wanna come in during the day?
Yeah,
Come on in, I'll get you up there.
but if we could set aside an hour ahead of time before the next meeting,
Or just individually, you don't have to
Either
do
way.
it as a group, that way we don't have to post it, you know, just come in individually. We have a ladder, or I'll take pictures.
Thank you.
well, let's put
I'm
it this
scared of
way.
heights.
I wanna put an agenda item on here to discuss it, it's not gonna be an action item, but I want to have an item on our next month's agenda to talk about the state of the roof. And I would like for all of our board members to try and make the best effort to get up there and take a look at it.
Another thing, this area is, if we know you, you get the job, there's companies in Atlanta that would come out here for probably under 100. That's just to simply do that kind of stuff.
Just by you saying, I can get up there, but you guys have to call the fire department, so.
We don't have a ladder, we don't have a ladder truck.
We can fill out a document.
Well, it depends, it may not have, if we went through our co-op, we would not have to take it out to bid, because they already did.
Okay.
When they assigned the roofing company that they use, you know, through our association. with our
But we can discuss like all the legitimates of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So recognizing the board chair's recommendation, I recommend that we stick to the task at hand right now.
Thank you.
Alright. Tammy, can we do a voice vote on, approval of the Asphalt Pros, bid we received?
Do I need to make a motion specifically to that or no?
So when would they do it?
So we probably should, so there's 3 quotes in the packet. So we probably should motion specific to which one.
Yeah, so, asphalt,
Asphalt Pros.
yes.
Can I make a motion to approve the Asphalt Pros bid of $17,384.61 to redo our parking lot? And Jim, on the thing, it just tells, on the contract, they need 5 business days is what they
Well, I'm
said.
just thinking, not do it while summer vacation is up, so that I'm getting tore up like the fire
I
department.
know, that's what it says in there, you have to schedule 5 days, you have to give them 5 days, it's in the contract.
So, it's at our discretion of when we want them to.
They just need 5 days.
Okay, we ready to vote? Okay,
Trustee Byler,
Aye.
trustee Hill,
Aye.
trustee Oldenburg,
Aye.
vice chair Miskowitz,
Aye.
board chair Potts.
aye.
Thank you.
Can I request a 3-minute recess?
Yes, let's take a break until 8:30.
Don't all the nasty man kids.
Five E is consider approval of the school year 24-25 National School Food Study, in the Department of Agriculture. Do you have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to consider approval, or item 5E.
Alright, can we get just some background? This is a requirement, correct?
Correct, this is from the Department of Agriculture. They suggest that we do this, but you read the fine print. We're required to do it based on, the Richard B. Russell National School Lunch Act that participation by selected state agencies, school districts, and schools is required under section 28 of said lunch act. You'll look down at the last page that is in your folder on this. These are the questions that they'll be asking. They will not have unsupervised access. They are sending 2 or 3 people in for this in mid-May. They will not have unaccessed or unsupervised access to kids. They'll do it in my office with me and basically those are the questions. You eat more fruits and vegetables on days when free fruit and vegetable snacks are given at school. You know, it's that kind of stuff. If you had different types of fruit than you normally would have had if you had been at school. It's not really a big thing, but at the same time, we do have policy 2132 that deals with surveys created by a third party. There is no personal information that will be requested. We will not be asking for kids' names or anything like that.
And they have an opt-out.
And we do have an opt-out that we will send.
And it's every student?
No,
It's
it's
random.
elementary, right?
Yeah.
It's elementary.
Oh,
So I should
and
know
they get a
this.
$15 gift card?
Yeah, if they're randomly, they're doing 5 students or 8 students?
Don't call right off the top.
8 students will be selected and obtain information.
Okay.
I should know this, how do we notify parents to make sure that they get this opt-out?
We will send
option?
this out to everybody that there's a study, and if they decide to opt out, then they send it back saying, we don't want our kid doing that.
By individual email, or how do we notify parents?
It goes out, in mail.
Oh,
And then it's
Or
in our
take home.
bulletin, right, as
And
well?
on the bulletin.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what the policy is on
And
that.
I do believe the list of questions will also be provided to the parents, so they will see what it's all about.
But they will be asking an individual student these questions.
Yes. And it does say that they will not be left alone, they will always be supervised with.
And under our policy 2132, surveys created by a third party, which is the case here. Before the district administers or distributes a survey created by a third party to a student, the student's parents may inspect the survey upon request and within a reasonable time of their request. This section applies to every survey that is created by a person or entity other than a district official, staff member, or student, regardless of whether the student answering the questions can be identified and regardless of the subject matter of the questions. And that's under the Student and Family Privacy Rights Policy 2132.
And it looks like we will be richly compensated for the effort.
Those 8.
Well, the incentive payments go to.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions? We ready to vote on this? Okay,
Trustee Byler, Trustee Hill,
Aye.
Trustee Oldenburg,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miskowitz.
Aye.
Board Chair Potts.
aye.
Thank you.
Great, item 5F, consider approval of school year 24-25 Joint Powers Trust Contract, JPT. This is the health insurance. Motion to consider that for approval.
I make a motion that we consider the approval of the Joint Powers Trust contract for the 24-25 school year, which is almost up. So,
25, 26.
Oh, it says 24, 25. 25, 26. Then, because somebody typoed that.
Second.
Okay.
I was gonna say, that doesn't make any sense because it's almost over.
Alright, can somebody from administration give us a brief on what's?
We left must last year. We were worried about a 20+% increase. And went with Joint Powers after looking at several others. Pacific was the other one, and then must. We sent a survey out a couple weeks ago to the staff, asking what they thought. It was 100% positive. We had one person turn it back.
Just an email,
It was an email.
but nobody responded.
I know she did. My wife.
Not to me, she
Because
did
I
not.
think it sucked.
We've, haven't had any complaints. I have not had any staff complaints, with regard to, prescription, with regard to coverage, with regard to specific needs. They've been, pretty proactive with us. So, you know, we're in a lock with them. They have to keep us under 8.5%. That's what they've done. Their standards. There is,
Sorry, they've increased 8% for 25, 26.
Do they
Just
have
like-
to keep us under 8.5?
they had to keep us under 8.5, and they're just under 8. 7.98.
7.8.
So, it's our recommendation that we continue with them for another year.
And how often was it prudent to shop around?
Well, the process of shopping around entails, staff, fill out in-depth, questionnaires of, what their medicines are, what, their health things are. We just did that last year. Our thinking as we, go through this again next year, for the next year, and then we're still waiting for the state to come up with a statewide insurance company, or, program. That in the last legislative session, it was approved, but the amount of money that they need and the number of us, staff members, we haven't been able to meet that yet. We need the AA schools to get involved with that, to make that, more, palatable, to be, more market, to get a better market yield, basically, alright? And that's what insurance is all about, it's the group. And so, we're still hoping on that. There have been talk, I've heard that Missoula was gonna come in, and then I hear they're not. A lot of the AA's are all self-insured and they have reserves. So, again, we're playing the wait game on that to happen, and our recommendation is that we stay with, Joint Powers.
Do you have any comment from any staff members? that are in attendance? Any board
I
questions?
try not to use it.
Because you don't like it?
Cause it involves medical stuff.
Their customer service is friendly.
Great.
Alright, you ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, do a voice vote, please.
Trustee Byler,
No.
trustee Hill,
I.
vice chair Miskowitz,
Aye.
trustee Oldenburg,
Aye.
and board chair Potts.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you, 4-1.
Item 5G, consider approval of district clerk / business manager job description. Do I have a motion to consider this for approval?
I make a motion that we approve our district clerk business manager job description.
I second.
Alright,
we're doing this because we really don't know what she does. It's something that's part of the STARS Act. I'll let her explain what the changes are.
It's part of the STARS Act, and with the new STARS Act, district clerks, if we update our job description as recommended by MTSDBA, and that is what this job description is, then the clerk position also qualifies for the quality educator payment. So there's a little increase from the state educator payment pool for the district clerk position as well. But also it's just a good idea to update to MTSBA requirements or recommendations whenever they update policy.
Can you summarize key changes?
There really is
There used to
very
not be
few.
one in Downey.
There
Oh, we
there
just didn't
really
have
are.
one?
No, we had a, job description and it was also from MTSBA.
Right.
They've just changed the wording a little bit. The duties are all the same.
And we, just to clarify, because I've had questions about this one, just to clarify, we're just approving the job description. We're not approving you for your job is not up for grabs, it's just the job description.
That is correct.
I did get an application from her for her position this weekend. It came in randomly.
You know, and they just say jack of all trades.
So I did read, unfortunately, the entire hospital, and I read all of this, but is everyone, administration happy with this?
Yeah, it is a requirement of House Bill 252, the STARS Act, and it does give us an extra FTE towards the quality educator payment.
What's that house bill again? So I should-
52. So you're pretty tough.
Alright, any other questions or comments? Any public comment? No, okay, can we do a voice vote?
Trustee Byler? Trustee Hill? Aye. Vice Chair Miskowitz?
Aye.
Trustee Oldenburg?
Aye.
Board Chair Potts?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Last item under 5H, consider approval of amending board meeting times, this is BP.
Board policy.
There we go.
Yeah. 1400.
1400. We have a motion to consider this for approval.
I make a motion to approve 5H.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, I will just kind of lead in on this. Annie had asked if we could put this on for discussion. She expressed some desire to not have meetings still going at 8:45 so that she could get home at a more reasonable hour. Board policy 1400, we do our meetings in the winter months, which is October through March at 6 p.m. and the other months are at 7 p.m. So the change would be to make it consistent at 6 p.m. all the way across the board.
That'd be nice.
What about just school months? Not including August.
So just have 2 months, 2 months not be the same?
June, July, and August, still at 7.
You can come in at 7.
That's fine too. I'm the one that got it changed, cause it's 6 is early when you're working in the summer, there's so much daylight left and.
No, it's a.
Me personally, I'm good either way, so I will do what the majority wants. Cause I'm good, whatever time. It's nice in the winter to not drive, so when we change that, so I'm.
Yeah, I definitely like that, and I don't mind the 6 first, like trying to get your kids in bed for school, but in the summer months, like, they can sleep in, or they're just going to work with me. I mean,
I will say I'm getting old, and the later it gets, the more my brain power diminishes, so there's that. But I don't think we're gonna find perfect time for everybody.
6:30, we'll meet in the middle.
This might be something that, you know, if Annie's proposing this, that we, again, table it.
Yeah.
We will be sitting a new board, next month, maybe they can, participate in that as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's true. New members.
So Ms. Tammy, can we table this item until next board meeting, please? Thank you.
Although,
Or June.
if it's at 7 again, you're not gonna make it. But, okay, we'll move into, agenda item 6, which is reports. First one is 6A, and the strategic planning committee update. Andy did send me an email, so I'll pull that up real quick and I'll read that for everyone.
Can I get another copy of that?
She emailed it to me, so she's on top of it. Strategic Planning Committee recently held 2 successful listening sessions with teachers and staff, gathering valuable feedback on the strengths of our schools as well as key areas for improvement. These sessions created an open space for honest dialogue, and participants expressed a strong interest in having more regular opportunities to share their perspectives. As a result of this feedback, the committee is now moving forward with reviewing the drafted strategic plan. Our next steps will focus on integrating the ideas and concerns shared during the listening sessions to ensure the plan reflects the needs of the entire school community. Our goal is to create a strategic plan that fosters unity, encourages collaboration, and helps every student and staff member feel supported and valued. The next strategic planning committee meeting will be held on Monday, April 28th at 6 p.m. in the school library.
And to clarify, it's the strategic plan, planning, not the strategic plan itself, but it's like the framework for the strategic plan that we are reviewing and we'll be discussing a lot at the next meeting.
I would also add that, we do have surveys out that was, from the strategic planning committee to push those out. The plan was also to get it down to the senior center, but they didn't have, dinner tonight or last Monday, so I'll get those, hard copies to them.
Is that out for?
It is on our webpage, and
Okay.
it's also been posted on the, teacher parent, Facebook webpage as well. We have one
It is
for
on the app.
community, we have one for parents, we have one for staff, and we will be doing one with students.
Yeah.
5 through 12.
Okay. Anyone else have anything on that? Next is the negotiations committee report. What was our on that first meeting?
Well, now you just threw me on the spot.
Oh, please.
We've held one meeting to date. It was on
The 20th? March
20th
20th?
of March,
March 20th.
5:15 p.m.
Thank you.
in the library.
With a
Alright.
candlestick. Okay.
Our next meeting is, so we basically just agreed upon our ground rules, and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, the 16th at 5 p.m.
5:15,
5:15, that's right.
been posted.
Thank you.
I was driving this afternoon.
All right, next is the athletic director report. Mr.
Um,
Havens.
Sorry. Baseball, softball, and track seasons are going strong. I will be putting out the spring sports survey so we can kind of tell what kids are involved with, and I'll have all that back to you guys at the May meeting. Craziness of baseball cancellations, rescheduling is crazy on my side. We did have a weird situation come up. Whitefish came down. They showed up 10 minutes before the ball game was supposed to start. They had no bus issues, but they had issues with the kids not having all their stuff.
So what do you do
So-
on situations like that?
You tell them, hey, you got about 20 minutes and they were dressing like
Mad
they were
Men.
dressing on the bus and everything. So, but kids had forgot everything, and so they got way behind, and but they didn't communicate back, and so that made it a little stressful on our end because we already had officials, and we didn't know what was gonna, 20 after 2:20. The game's supposed to start at 2:30.
Yeah.
But if you guys need me, you know where I'm at.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Go on.
All right, next, principal report, Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah. So our music department went to districts this past last weekend, where they did pretty well. They got a Division I superior rating, a Division II excellent rating. We had the choir. Didn't do as well, but they did good. We had 5 individual students advance to state, and the entire Knoxon High School band ensemble advances to state. So there's that. Our third massed testing window is open now through May 2, so classes are working hard on that. And Mr. Weissel asked me to start taking over the videoing of board meetings, so that's what the iPad is over here, and I started a YouTube channel to post the board meetings on. It is at Knoxon Public Schools for you to like and subscribe.
We'll have a link on the webpage for that.
And you said that website is what?
At Knoxon Public Schools.
Well, I was way off.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Whitesell, Superintendent.
The main thing that I've got is the Montana Reads literacy grant. We did get that submitted on time, completed. There was $1 million, we were eligible up to $1 million, but we were told quite pointedly they weren't really interested in every district maxing out. So our grant ended up being $925,000. There are a lot of stipulations to that, and we're hoping, they were talking June, that we would find out. Courtney was saying that last she heard it might be as soon as next month. So our fingers are crossed. It would be a big endeavor for us, but it would also help. The money is very specific on what it needs to be done, and we will go over that if it's awarded. We had told you that we would do that before we committed to that, but the first thing was to get the application in, and we have done that.
Sweet, thank you guys.
That, Courtney Voss was huge in that. The elementary staff stepped up big time with that, as well as we had to get signatures from all the staff, as we did with all the board members, and we were pretty close to 100% with the staff. That's really all I got. My main doing has been what you got in front of you as far as action items this month. We are racing towards the end, and it's scary because we still have a lot of things that need to get done. As far as budget goes, there's a reason why we only did tenured at this point, because we do have some things in the air, and we're waiting for some final disclosures from the legislative session. I would tell you also that there will be a lot of policy review and changes as after every legislative session, and so we'll be pulling up our sleeves and deep into the policy book this summer. That's all I got.
Okay.
I make a
I
motion.
had more, but she told me to keep it short. She wants to go home.
Just as a heads up for board, and Kyra is, we're looking at doing our new board training on a Saturday potentially. So just keep that in mind. We'll communicate more as we figure that out.
In May?
All right,
Make a motion to adjourn.
thank you.
8:55.
Before 9 o'clock.
Pretty good for that.